The Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort, engaged in extreme and illegal activities beyond the movie's depiction. His firm, Stratton Oakmont, defrauded investors of millions through pump-and-dump schemes. Belfort's hedonistic lifestyle included rampant drug abuse, extravagant parties, and dangerous stunts, often endangering lives. He served 22 months in prison for his crimes, revealing a life of greed and corruption. A gunman shot dead a passenger and held the driver at gunpoint on a commuter bus in Georgia on Tuesday. Responding to 911 calls about the armed suspect, police pursued the bus, which crashed into vehicles and drove into oncoming traffic before being disabled in DeKalb County. Passengers escaped, and the suspect, Joseph Greer, was arrested. One victim died from gunshot wounds. Police praised the driver's bravery and law enforcement's response. Greer, a convicted felon with 19 prior arrests, was taken into custody. On June 11, 2021, commercial lobster diver Michael Packard was swallowed by a humpback whale near Provincetown, Massachusetts. For over 30 seconds, his crewmates feared for his life, but fortunately, the whale resurfaced after about 40 seconds, spitting out Packard. Miraculously, he survived with only bruising and a dislocated knee. The rap game had an unsettling shift from Tupac's gritty stories of struggle and survival to an increasing preoccupation with death, violence, and nihilism. Modern rap often glorifies morbidity, with lyrics depicting graphic scenes of murder, drug abuse, and despair. This dark evolution mirrors societal issues, mental health crises, and a desensitization to violence, reflecting a culture where the macabre becomes mainstream and the lines between art and horror blur disturbingly. Abandoned institutions like Penhurst Asylum and Waverly Hills Sanatorium were sites of horrific experiments. Patients endured lobotomies, electroshock therapy, and other brutal treatments without consent. Reports of haunting phenomena persist, with ghostly apparitions and unexplained screams echoing through decaying halls, remnants of the torment inflicted on the vulnerable. The ocean harbors terrifying secrets, shipwrecks like the Titanic with thousands of lost souls, the deep-sea anglerfish with its bioluminescent lure, and the eerie silence of the Mariana Trench. Mysterious disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle add to the fear. Unfathomable depths hide ancient, colossal creatures, reminding us of the ocean's dark, unknown abyss. Haunted houses like the Amityville Horror House and the Winchester Mystery House are steeped in dark histories. Sites of gruesome murders, suicides, and mysterious deaths, they are said to be plagued by restless spirits. Visitors report ghostly apparitions, chilling whispers, and objects moving on their own. These macabre residences embody the lingering dread of past tragedies. North Sentinel Island is home to the reclusive Sentinelese tribe, known for violently resisting outsiders. Attempts to contact them have led to deadly encounters, including the 2018 killing of missionary John Chow. The island remains shrouded in mystery, with its inhabitants' way of life and hostility evoking both fear and fascination. The tribe's isolation preserves a dangerous enigma. The Mary Celeste was found adrift in 1872, with its crew missing, yet cargo intact. There were no signs of struggle, and the ship was seaworthy. Theories range from mutiny and piracy to alien abduction and sea monsters. The eerie abandonment remains unsolved, casting a chilling shadow over maritime history, as the fate of those aboard remains a haunting mystery. Herb Baumeister was an American serial killer active in the 1990s. He lured young men to his estate, Fox Hollow Farm, where he strangled them and buried their remains. Police discovered the skeletal remains of at least 11 men on his property. Baumeister fled to Canada when his crimes were uncovered and committed suicide, leaving behind a legacy of horror and unanswered questions. In 1996, a Canadian inventor named Troy Hurtubise created this metal suit of armor to enable him to take on and fight off a grizzly bear. He also created several inventions, including ray generators, fire paste, an ablative heat-proofing material, the Ursus personal armor suit, and the Trojan ballistic suit of armor. Tragically, Hurtubise passed away on June 17, 2018, following a collision between his car and a transport truck carrying gasoline, leading to an explosion. While the transport truck driver sustained minor injuries, Hurtubise's body was found inside his burned vehicle. One of the most evil Nazi camp guards was Irma Grezi, known as the Hyena of Auschwitz, by prisoners. She was infamous for her brutality. At just 22, she was executed for war crimes. Grezi was notorious for her harsh treatment of prisoners, including using attack dogs, beatings, and violence. Her morbid legacy includes participating in selections for the gas chambers, leading to countless passing aways. Footage captured inside a North Korean prison camp shows an inmate being interrogated. Families of inmates are viewed as guilty by association, and so it's not uncommon for entire generations to be sent to prison camps. Kim Young-soon, who spent 9 years in a political prison camp called Yodok, said, "From sunrise to sunset you work. There are no set working hours. You get up at 3:30 a.m. to report for work at 4:30 a.m., and then you work until it gets dark. When my parents died of starvation in a camp, I didn't have coffins for them, and I wrapped their bodies in straw and carried them on my back to bury them." This is the uniform worn by Archduke Franz Ferdinand during his assassination in 1914, the event that sparked World War I. On the 28th of June 1914, Franz Ferdinand and his wife were assassinated in Sarajevo by the 19-year-old Gavrilo Princip, a member of Young Bosnia. Princip was spared the death penalty because of his age and sentenced to 20 years in prison. Princip died on the 28th of April 1918 from tuberculosis. Fanny Mills was born in 1860 and suffered from Milroy's disease. This caused Fanny's feet and legs to swell to an enormous size. By the time she died, aged 39, her feet were 17 inches long, equal to a U.S. men's shoe size of 29. A reporter once described Mills' feet as two immense hams. In January 2014, 5-year-old Garnett Spears died at a hospital in suburban Valhalla, New York, after his mother, Lacey Spears, injected him with high levels of sodium, leading to swelling in his brain. On March 2, 2015, a jury found Lacey Spears guilty of murdering her son by poisoning him with table salt, which she had administered from infancy through his feeding tube. Following Garnett's death, his mother, Lacey Spears, was charged with second-degree murder and first-degree manslaughter. On April 8, 2015, a judge sentenced Spears to 20 years to life in prison for her son's death. Despite being very smart, Albert Einstein's second son, Edward, was diagnosed with schizophrenia and described by his father as an insoluble problem. He was sent to a mental asylum at the age of 20 and remained there for the next 35 years before dying of a stroke in 1965. In 1973, the U.S. Army developed an anti-tank grenade by hollowing out a Nerf football and filling it with explosives. However, the ball never made it to the battlefield since the explosives gave it an unpredictable flight. Montana Baronet led one of the most violent gangs operating in Baltimore City and personally participated in at least 6 murders. From 2010 to 2017, Montana Baronet was known as the #1 trigger puller in Baltimore and the leader of the vicious Train to Go gang that terrorized the streets of West Baltimore, committing murders, including 6 by Baronet himself, shootings, armed robberies, drug dealing, and witness intimidation. From the 1930s to the 1960s, Wittenoom was Australia's only blue asbestos supplier. Residents unknowingly lived, breathed, and played with the lethal dust, even using it in sand pits. This exposure led to countless deaths and illnesses, making Wittenum a haunting reminder of industrial negligence and its morbid consequences.